An example of truth and experience, which created an opinion. A whole bunch of different experiences that led up to this example. And look, the more experience we have, the more opinions we develop, and the older we get, the stronger those opinions can get and the tougher they can get to break, which is unfortunate. It's one of the things I don't like about getting older is I worry about my brain kind of calcifying and not being as open to different things. But that's how it's always been done around here. It's just not something that works for me. So my experiences create my opinions. Your opinion is your truth. So here's the experience. In 2008, in April of 2008, I first got licensed as a mortgage broker here in BC. And I was working on my fourth file at the time, and this was July 11th, 2008. And everything was good. Everything was good. Their financing was approved. Everything was cool. They had an open house coming up that weekend for the home that they hadn't yet sold. And in 2008, the way the market in Vancouver was, that was a good 3 years since anybody had heard of subject to sale, right? On condition of selling the existing property. That was long gone. That ship had sailed, much like today. I mean, when's the last time any of us saw an offer with a subject to sale? This is not a thing. I mean, of course the other house is going to sell. It's a hot market. It'll be fine. Don't worry. Well, yeah, July 11th, 2008, that was the day the music stopped. That was the day a bank in California failed. And that was the day the world kind of lost its marbles. So everything stopped. I can't remember exactly what day of the week it was. I probably should have looked that up. But I want to say it feels like it was a Tuesday or a Thursday. And it was like, boom. All the open houses, they went from being jam-packed to ghost towns. Everything just halted in the world of real estate. It was a crazy moment. Like you could hear a pin drop, it got so quiet. And here are these clients, right? And they're stuck with this extra house. Stuck with an extra house. Don't we all wish we had gotten stuck with an extra house or 10 back in 2008, looking back? Well, I was already looking back at that time for my clients, and I was sharing with them my opinion, right? My opinion, based on my experience, is brr. It is nice and cool in here, but brr, right? Buy, renovate. They needed to do a little bit of renovation on the old place they were moving out of. They'd already bought it. Clean it up a little bit, refinance it, pull the down payment money out for the other place. There was lots of equity there. They didn't need to worry about selling to close. There was room to refinance and close on the new one. Rent out the old one and repeat. Heck, do a third, do a fourth. That was a great idea in 2008, in 2018, in 2001, 1988. It doesn't matter. It's always been a great idea. Buy, renovate, refi, rent, repeat, right? Never, ever sell. If you want the single best piece of financial advice anyone will ever give you, here it is. Never, ever sell a piece of real estate. Ever. Because think about it. When you sell, what are you doing? You're stepping off the train. You're stepping off the asset appreciation train. And why are you doing that? You're doing that to get that 20% slice of equity. Really? Like you need that 20% that badly? If you've got room to refi and buy, that's the way to move forward. These clients had that room. They absolutely had that room. So the facts, the clients, stellar clients, right? Great job, great credit, great everything. The financing, simple. Finding a tenant, it's Vancouver, baby. Finding a tenant, easy. Like this is easy. The feelings, whew, not so simple, right? The client's reality, fear. Major fear. The world is ending. Homes are going to be worth 10 cents. Ice cream cones are only going to be a penny again. We're all going to go to the movies for a nickel. No, that's not going to happen. But fear, right? Irrational fear causing irrational thoughts. That week in 2008, an acquaintance of mine locked in. He raced to the bank and locked in at like 4.19 as prime then fell off a cliff and plummeted, not understanding the basic reality of interest rates. that I hope every single one of us is already acutely aware of. What is the number one thing that drives interest rates up? Economic good news. Good news. That's what drives interest rates up. When everything is booming and rocking and rolling, that's when rates go up. When the world comes to a halt, interest rates plummet, as we've seen, right? But in 2008, there were a few people that got that wrong. And the real truth here is the only economy that matters is the one between your own ears. That's it. Where are you at? Like with these clients, where are you at? They both had phenomenal, stable employment. Nothing's going to change there. Nothing's going to change. They had great credit. They had a huge amount of equity. Prices hadn't dropped. The market had stopped, but we were still able to get that refinance done, no problem. So the only economy that matters is the one between your own ears. That's a good thing to share with your clients as well. It's true. So the solution, right, was clear, consistent client communication. So over and over, daily, I was in constant contact with these clients. I remember near the end of the transaction, the gentleman saying, man, we've really become pretty close through this whole thing. Like, I'm going to miss talking to you every day. Like, are we still going to talk every day? Like, what's going to happen? I was like, well, probably not. We'll probably fade a little bit. Probably won't be daily. We can still do a weekly call. But that clear, consistent communication was critical, right? Communicating to them that the vacancy rate was 1%. It had been 1% for 20 years. Here we are, 13 years later, the vacancy rate, 1%. The only places that are vacant in the Lower Mainland are ones that someone's moving out of and to, and they're passing each other, right, on the highway. They're both moving out, both moving in. Like, there are no vacancies. Rents? When's the last time you heard talk about a crash in rents? That's not a thing. Rents have always been stable or rising for the last 25 plus years. Again, interest rates. What was happening there? Well, they weren't going to go up. Worst case, they might remain stable. More likely, they were going to be dropping. And they had time on their side. They had solid income. They had savings. That equals stability, right? That is a pretty critical point, by the way. Note to self, right? A good income and money in the bank, some cash in the bank, really does equal stability. For years, more years than I want to admit, there was never any money in the bank. It was constantly being reinvested into the business, and then it was covering a whole bunch of other disasters. It was years. I think I was 41 years old before I had money in the bank. I knew Santa was coming for sure this year. Like 41, that's way too long to wait for that. I like to think I'm smart, but I'm not that smart, clearly. So income plus savings equals stability. That's a key point. The outcome, the clients calm down and close. The clients calm and close, right? And they win a little bit because over the next 4 years, what happens to that property? It rises in value by $500,000. 500,000, basically doubles in value. Amazing, right? Obviously, they should do what? They should sell and get out, right? I mean, emotion got the better of them. 2012, everything's crazy. Oh my God, it's new highs. It's got to be a bubble. Prices are never going to go higher than they did in 2012. So there they were, liquidating the property, positive cash flow, stable tenant, same tenant, had been in there the whole 4 years, and they sell it and they're up $500,000. But emotion is expensive. Because of course, 7 years later, here we are, 7 more years of a tenant paying off the mortgage, positive cash flow, everything else in that family's life is still stable. And what have they done? They've left $1 million additional dollars on the table. So feeling safe has a price, a pretty high price. So again, emotion can be very expensive, and a big part of what we do every day is trying to calm emotions, our own, right? Our own, but also the clients. We're there to keep them in check. I remember, I'm going to digress here and there, quick little one. I remember getting a call from a client. I was in, or not a client, a broker. I was in Toronto. I'll never forget, just for whatever reason, I remember where I was walking. It was King, and anyway, walking down King Street at university. And this broker calls me. And she says, oh my gosh, this client was so rude to me. They were cursing, they were swearing. I said, okay, back up a little bit, explain the situation. And I said, there's something else in that client's life that's happening. Like, no, you shouldn't take that abuse. You shouldn't. But also, given what you've just explained to me and a few of the nuances there, I don't think you should draw a line in the sand and fire the client. I think you need to maybe explain to them that you're uncomfortable with how they spoke to you. Just phrase it like that. Go back at them by phone, not email, not text. Pick up the phone. And she picked up the phone. She called them to say, I'm uncomfortable with how you were yelling at me and cursing. And she didn't even get a chance to say that. Immediately the client was, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I lost control like that. I haven't told you this, but blah, 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 blah. And it all comes out. There's always more going on behind the scenes, right? So our clients' emotions, they can run a little wild. That's what you get paid the big bucks for. You get paid more than a therapist on an hourly basis so that you can afford a therapist and still make a profit in this business. I think that's what it boils down to. And for those of you who've been at past workshops, I've handed these coins out. And this time I'm gonna have to mail them out. I actually got them in time for the event, but I'm gonna have to mail them out. I do have a Broker's Journey 2022 coin, which you don't have to zoom in on that, but I will send those out. And it's got the exact same thing on the back that I had on the 2018 coin, right? Calm, clear, consistent communication creates client connection and confidence, creates calm, clear, consistent. It's a circular sentence. It just goes around and around. It's a little bit of a reminder. And of course, the Phoenix, most of us are coming into the broker world from some other world, and a lot of us are rebuilding from the ashes of a previous business. That's a lot of what's happening, and this is a great space to do that.